All right, guys, I'm with Drew, the chief of staff, or pretty much the master in command of tonight's draft night. So, Drew, give us some little bit of insight about tonight.
What's up, guys? Drew Foster, Chief of Staff at the PGF. Today was all about draft day, right? Trying to make sure all these teams have the players that they need before the season. It's always really fun, builds a lot of hype before every season, and I think it's really one of the things that help kind of sets us apart a little bit.
Yeah, I was seeing coming in, I first walked in, I'm like, God, the tone was just like very quiet, very professional. Now, normally there's a lot of hype going on, but this night set the tone for like, this is real serious business. And that's what I really appreciate about, especially we got a chance to talk to some of these athletes, very clean, very professional in everything they do. Like, this is an amazing experience that I have witnessed as a media person for the first time.
That's awesome. Really glad you liked it. It's like, trying to frame it almost as like traditional sports, right? Like in traditional sports, people are used to seeing drafts and people dressing up, and a lot of times focus on the team aspect of everything instead of just like one-off, let's have a super fight, let's build up to like this one event that's going on, and it's fun. It really is super different. I didn't really understand it like a whole lot when I first got started in it, because I'm so used to the jiu-jitsu culture of like that one-off kind of style, and then I was like, oh, okay, it just takes a little while to get used to, but once you're kind of into it, it's super cool.
I was going to say, yeah, because you're looking at how these guys came in all dressed up. They set the tone for storytelling, and that's what the audience need to understand. Like, why is, Bulletproof Man over here, then you got the Officer, but they both have similar style. Then you got not Pimp Daddy over here, but, very dressed up, like fresh style. And then a lot of like Cowboy from Yellowstone over here. I was just kind of like giving these fun nicknames, because it's like, I got a James Bond, I got a guy who's all cowboy up, guy who's like in the Chicagoland, and you got guys who are like ready for the Terminator movie.
Yeah.
Like, people will be like, this is really interesting.
One super cool thing that I don't think anybody really got to see tonight, but just from knowing some behind the scenes stuff, right, is we had like an owners meeting a couple months ago. And all of these teams kind of have their own culture and style behind the scenes of like stuff that they're looking for. So when we got the roster of all the players that were eligible to be in the draft today, we were like encouraging them, hey, talk with this team, talk with that team, talk with these owners, and see like if your vibes match. So I think that was like a factor on some of these decisions, besides just how good everybody is like, are they going to be more like rowdy, like kind of on this team's vibe, or are they maybe going to be a little more like straight-laced, family-friendly over on this team? So when you were talking about like, this guy's dressed like this and this totally different vibe over here, I think that's like really going to play out on each of the teams to see the differences in how they kind of represent and all that stuff.
Yeah, the different culture of balancing and everything. So then also
like the Oakland Raiders are like, they have a certain vibe, and like the Patriots have a certain vibe. It's like, we'll get to see that stuff a little bit.
Exactly. Then you have like locals like the Knights here. Like there's a few local Vegas guys here that are just ready to go on different teams, but then they kind of set that different storytelling tone. And see how the characters balance with each other. They're main characters of their own pages of their books going into the mats. That's what we're talking about, is like visual storytelling. And these guys all have set the tone for that, especially in this organization, which is super cool. I mean, I'm very much looking forward to see the upcoming fights down the road as we're going to be more involved, like following these guys' stories and see how it unfolds, and especially like beyond the mats, see how these guys interact outside going on.
I think that's like the big a storytelling part of it as anything else,
Exactly.
It's like week 3 and the mental stress and what's going on with you and the team and who's hurt, and maybe you're like, it's crazy, man.
What drama may be happening inside the family, relationships. You don't know what's going to happen. So that too sets a more of a like, how are you guys going to define yourselves? Are you going to go through the grid process, or are you going to just let that pillar fall down, and how are you going to get yourself back up from it? Because there's 6 weeks of this fights. So every week is going to go on. By week 3 or 4, you're like, who's going to be the breaking point?
Yeah, when I started on season 6, it was a week-long format. So instead of 6 weeks, it was 6 days in a row.
Ooh.
So different in a lot of ways. A lot more injuries, I feel like. A little more physically demanding, people just really scraping themselves off the floor on the last day. But switching to the 6-week format seems more like it's a mental strain, and like
duration time.
The physical part is, it's still intense, but I feel like we saw less injuries last season, but more like attrition, like psyching yourself out type stuff.
Yeah, not mentally draining yourself. Yeah. Like I get so anxious and hype, and then all of a sudden that new week comes, I'm like, I wasn't me. I wasn't feeling it. Yeah. I mean, coming from a sports background, I've been there many times in like semi-pro rugby. Like we play multiple matches back and forth, like sevens, for example.
Yeah.
Quick, 14 minutes, in and out quick, 70-minute halves. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, I'm done.
That's awesome.
You know, but that's true to what this is what's going to really show is like, are you going to stay as long as possible to reach that top? And how are you going to tell your fans, like, no matter what outcome it is, how are you going to approach that and stand tall based on the outcome of each match?
Yeah. And a lot of the coolest stories every season are people that either maybe they didn't start, or they were like an injury reserve kind of player, or they lost a bunch of games the first few nights, and then they get a huge win, and then everybody goes crazy because you start to root for underdogs, and you have people that you want to see push through and get those big wins. And like some of the people that have had the most success just in their lives after PGF have been people that, you know, were either struggling a lot the first couple nights, or the underdog type stories.
Underdog type stories, which is what we as Stage Rated Media are about, is the real underdog stories that, you know, transcends beyond what you are as an athlete, but what you are as a person outside of that. Because that's what's real storytelling is about, and showing you as a real person who you are beyond the mat, which is really great. But dude, we're looking forward to much more of this to come, man.
I'm excited too.
Yeah, especially you behind the scenes. You just watch him, guys. He's going to be caught on a few of our cameras. He's going to be everywhere back and forth like he did tonight.
Running like a chicken.
Like a chicken with his head cut off. Yeah. Well, don't worry. We'll be right there with you, getting our steps in as well. Which
I'm excited, man. I can't wait.
It's gonna be a lot of fun, Drew. We're looking forward to this, man.